Today I got a very special guest in the building, man. If you're from the DMV area, you know this guy. Even if you don't know him, you know him. Matter of fact, let me show you something. Let me show you what I'm rocking. Y'all see this right here? Exclusive. Made by the one, the only DTLR product design manager, June Sanders. What's good, my brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? I see you got the shoes on with the shirt. Okay.
Hey, man, it's only right, man. Come on, man. The exclusives, man. But I know we was talking off air a minute. If you don't mind, can you just go into what was the impact that your grandmother had on your life?
You know, so funny. I used to love going. My grandmom is from Brevard, North Carolina. You know, so my dad is from. Got a lot of aunts and uncles, a lot of siblings. They have a lot of siblings. So going down there, you know, she was always, you know, calling me Junior. You know what I'm saying?
Are you a junior or nah?
I am.
Okay.
Just so we wouldn't get me and my dad confused because we got the same name. You know, and you know, it was better when I was younger. The feeling of being around family was better when I was younger. As I got older, I've drifted a little bit because, you know, we just growing older into our own self and, you know, trying to do the hustle and flow thing with, you know, jobs and stuff and being, you know, so disconnected from that. It felt funny, you know, she just passed. But I just remember a lot of little things that she used to, you know, tell me, and she used to call me. My nickname for her was Tiger. So I went and got a tiger tattooed on me, you know, when I had turned 25.
Yeah.
And so that just kind of stuck with me. She, you know, she always used to say I had this tiger-like energy and fire inside of me. Yeah. And I'm the oldest boy grandchild.
Wow. Okay.
You know, with all my aunts and uncles. So yeah, she was the soul and heart of the family, actually on both sides.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, man, I definitely want to send my condolences, man, because I know that sounds like the relationship I had with my grandmother. So I definitely understand. So I just want to send my condolences, man.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah. So before we, you know, dive into what you're doing, I want to go back. Talk about like where did you grow up and like what was the upbringing? What was the environment like? Just talk about it.
Well, it's always a funny topic about where I grew up at, but I mean, I was born in D.C., went to a D.C. Elementary school, then I moved to Maryland. And high school, I went to Forestville High School. I grew up in school. So I would say...
Now, was this before it was the military academy?
No, I've never been in the military.
No, I'm saying, because isn't it like a military like academy?
Oh, yeah. Well, now the school was completely knocked down. So it don't even exist anymore. But yeah, that was way after I graduated. Yeah. But I graduated from Forestville High School. That was in '91, so I'm just telling my age. And then I drifted up the block all the way up going north. So, but yeah, man, I grew up in that area, and I was always into fashion back then. You know, I always wanted to do some design stuff. Didn't know it was going to be clothes or really what have you, because I eventually went to an architecture school.
So what made you get into architect? Like that's kind of random compared to fashion.
Yeah, definitely. I think just the idea of falling in love with structures, you know, whether it's buildings, whether it's you know, designing a chair, designing cars, they all are, you know, architectural, you know, backgrounds. So whether you're you know, engineer, architect, they have different, you know, you could design, you can go in multiple directions, you know. And if you look at Virgil Abloh, he went to school to be an architect too, and he's the head designer for Louis Vuitton. So, you know, it's a lot of people that's architects. Look at can't think of anybody else right off the cuff right now, but it's probably a lot of people in the design world that went to school for designing other things, and they ended up getting into fashion.
Okay. Now, how much would you say the DMV area influenced just who you are today?
100% influence.
Okay.
You know, well, I would say it's probably 50% because also I look at, you know, other things that's going on around the world. And, you know, as far as fashion, you know, you can't leave out New York. New York was considered a fashion capital of the world, you know what I'm saying? And they've had a lot of influence. I look at what's going on in Paris, London, what's going on in LA, and you kind of like, you know, in DC, this DMV area, I think we're the most fashionable people out.
Of course.
You know, just period. I mean, like Atlanta got their style. They're a little bit too gaudy, but there's no shade. I feel like we're the most fashionable people. So it's just taking all of that energy in and figure out what am I relating to in those different quadrants, you know, and that helps my personal style.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, like, a lot of the trends, you know what I'm saying, came from DC, but
all day. We brung back the Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
We made the Nike boots. You know, we run with the New Balance. You know, you know, like back in the days, Madness was like the first streetwear store. That was before all that other stuff is out in the market. They're not giving them their props. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you had everybody else, and I came up in that era.
Yeah. Now, okay, talk about, like, growing up, did you have anybody that you looked up to, or did you view anybody like as your hero? Like, talk about that.
It's different. You know, I looked at, you know, my dad, of course, you know, as being the father and, you know, strong Black man, you know what I'm saying? As far as in the other mentors, you know, so it's a few people that taught me some stuff growing up. My man, Eric Washington, my man, Darwin, they used to own Abstracts. So I would name those two. For right now, obviously, it could be a few more people. My mom was a huge influence, you know, because she was an entrepreneur. She was, you know, a hairstylist. So it's a combination of multiple things that kind of they give you different lessons. You learn different lessons from different people, and you just take that and you know, it helps you guide you in the way you're gonna go.
Yeah. Now I heard from a little birdie that you used to rap back in the day, man. I heard, so like I never heard you rap, so I'm trying to figure out like what was your style. So what was your style, and like what made you get into rapping? Because I know me growing up, rapping, especially coming from the DC area, like it was not the cool thing to do.
It was not. We looked like cornballs.
Straight Bama.
Look at it now. It's like
thousands of rappers. I wonder
what my life would be like now if I had made it. I don't know. I mean, rap was way different because growing up, you know, I was a huge fan of, like, you know, old school hip hop, like Big Daddy Kane, you know, KRS-One, you know, Rakim, Run DMC. And then back in the day, you know, my parents had just gotten to church. So they was like, yo, we don't like that secular music. But I used to have headphones, the big boom box and all that. And I used to be writing raps. I was like 13, 14. I want to say what year was that? That might have been 80, 88, 87, you know, around that time. And that's when, you know, I think the Jordan 2s or something came out. So it was a lot, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot. And I was writing, and then eventually it gets to the point where I hooked up with a couple of dudes from another side of town, and, you know, we tried to do the crew thing, you know. So it was actually, I went to school with a lot of people that was rapping in school. We used to have rap battles in school, you know, but the influence of music then was different than now. It's funny because I never liked my rap voice. And I don't know, I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of people say they don't like their rap voice, right?
Yeah.
And you're in the studio a lot, you know. At some point you had to say, you know, this is my voice. But
it took time though, because you kind of get not insecure, but it's like it's weird. It's weird, like hearing your voice,
especially when you have the headphones on. It's a lot to hear yourself. So back then it was funny because I used to be in all these battles. I was really big into, you know, doing the whole metaphor thing because, you know, look, Big Daddy Kane was my first favorite rapper. You know what I'm saying? First favorite rapper. You know what I'm saying? Then it went on to the Rakims and the Biggies and the Nas. So I came from that era where it was very, very lyrical, but, you know, guys used to tell me, oh, check this out. Guess what my rap name was?
What was it?
50 grand.
50 grand? Okay.
Oh, man. Yeah,
50 grand.
It was 50 grand. I had a couple of rap names that was whack, but
I'm gonna start calling you that from now on. That's your name.
This dude gave me the name. He was like, "Yo, that's my man, 50 grand," and I just ran with it.
Just start.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
And I stopped doing it to get into fashion because by the time I was around 25, after doing it, say, quote unquote, 10 years, and I really didn't have the pieces that a lot of the youngsters have right now. They can go into the studio, this, that, and the other. Yeah. And there was a lot of dudes around me
Right.
you know, that were rapping too, but they all had different things. And, you know, one of the guys made it, but he ended up becoming a producer.
Okay.
And you might know him. His name is
Rich.
Richard Shelton, One Up Entertainment.
I feel like I know him. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like I know
he
him.
did
Yeah.
records with Ice Cube, J Lo, Cisco.
Yeah. Okay.
He's done a lot of records, but he transitioned. He did the right thing. We used
Yeah.
to use his studio back in the days out in Temple Hills.
Okay. Yeah. And that's another thing. A lot of people they don't know how to make that transition and evolve into something else. That's what this whole thing life is about, man. Evolution, man. You got to grow. And speaking of that, what was the spark that made you get into fashion?
Well, around that time, I mean, I've had a few sparks. It's like when your car cut off and you need a jump, you get them sparks and you plug them. Bam! The first spark was, I remember the very first thing that inspired me. I remember I was with my parents and we would travel a lot. My family is really big into traveling, so we was traveling. I remember going to the DKNY store in Florida. And I was looking at this pea coat and I was like, man, this joint dope, but it don't fit right. I wish it had this. So I wish it had that. And things started to, you know, develop in my head. Like, you know, man, maybe I could make something like this or make my own. And it, you know, at some point it started to turn and I started making t-shirt designs. And, you know, me and a buddy of mine, I mean, he used to rap too, but we didn't go to the same high school. And we tried to do something together. We made some shirts, but then he took all the money. You know, he wanted to be the finance guy and go do something with his car.
You
know,
man.
I think his car was getting repossessed. He ain't never tell me that. His wife told me to this day. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But that's a whole nother thing. So we did our thing. And I remember one time, me and my mom was in Baltimore. We was in Security Square Mall. And the guy was wearing my shirt. I didn't even know him, but he was wearing the shirt that I made because I used to go to barber shops and all that. And, you know, my mom being a proud mom, like, yo, my son made that. My son, you know.
That's dope, man.
So, you know, and that was one of them, those type of fuels. It's like, you know what? Let me continue this lane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then along the way, you know, you get these signs. God has seen these signs.
Yep.
And the signs is like, oh yeah, you're going the right way. Just keep going, don't give up, type of thing. And so, you know, one thing led to another. And you know, I had to get into working into retail to understand how retail works, because, you know, you still have to put yourself in position to be around it and to understand it, because it's not just your own understanding. You gotta be around the people just like you as a musician. Yep. You learn more being around people who's doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
Developing from outside the bubble.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And it just led me to one thing to another, and I started working in retail, and I just kept it going.
Nice. Now, a lot of people today, they know you for designing shoes, but I want you to talk about what was it like when you was designing for like shooters? Like, talk about that.
Well, it wasn't just shooters. I mean, my cousin, he introduced me to this guy, Darwin, who owned Abstracts back in the days. And at the time I was working that Up Against the Wall. You know, that was the high, we had the high spot back in the days.
It was like everything was there. Yeah.
We was like the Neiman Marcus for the hood, right?
Yeah.
And so that was, you know, where it kind of really kicked into gear, because I started, you know, back then I didn't know how to use a computer. I was hand drawing everything, you know, hand drawn. And, you know, I met Rob from Shooters. I met Kenny from Where I Want. I met Aja Amani. That's my guy. I met all these guys. And, you know, one thing is like when you hear, it's like you could see the energy. Everybody was booming. Everybody was doing their thing. So I would say in the closer to the forefront of what was going on, just soaking up the game and seeing what each company was doing in every hood. And that led me into developing my own t-shirts. So, and that's how it went from me, you know, drawing and doing all that to say, hey, I want to do my own brand. Still want to do my own brand. So there was a gap where I stopped doing it just to focus on work. But then something told me I just needed my own shirt. So me and a buddy of mine, you know, we created our own T-shirt, and I took it around. Up Against the Wall was my first client, and they ordered 3,000 shirts, and they just saw a blank T-shirt. I wasn't even trying to sell them blanks. Okay. I was trying to sell them my brand. Right. They like the brand, but they love the blanks, and the brand ended up becoming Lux T.
Okay, so, I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah, so it ended up being Lux T, and all the guys that I met during that time, from, you know, the shoes, We Are Once, and everybody, you know, the T-shirt brung huge awareness to what was missing and what I could offer. So I was offering them something that was missing. They just didn't know that they needed it until they saw it.
That's what it's all about in whatever business you're in.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I did my groundwork, went out and got all of these orders. It was a slow grind. It wasn't real quick because people they wasn't used to paying almost $6 for a T-shirt. They was used to, you know, the $2, $1.50, max $3. You know, it was a huge T-shirt company right out in Lago, Jeweling Company. They were the thing back then. And here's this little black kid coming up with shirts with these Asians, like, yo, I got the best T-shirt on the market. And I really did. And I really proved it by getting it out there, all the way from DC all the way up to Philly, all the way down to Atlanta to New York. You know, I had these shirts selling in Macy's in New York on 34th Street. And the crazy part is, once I did the shirts, do you know that Up Against the Wall canceled their order before I delivered?
What?
That was the blower. They ordered 3,000 shirts from me, and they canceled.
Why they do that?
Because the guy at the time, Izzy, he felt like white T-shirts wasn't in.
And what year was this? What year was this?
It was at least 20 years ago. So 2007, 2006.
Wow. That's crazy.
I'm trying to think, was it 2000? So it's 2020 now. No, it was like 98.
Okay.
It was like 98.
Damn. Still.
It was like 98, 99. Because I think Biggie died in 97?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. It was like 98, maybe 99. White tees ain't in. White tees ain't never going nowhere. Like,
of course,
never.
They ain't going nowhere.
It's like saying shoes are out of style.
Right. It ain't going nowhere. No time soon.
What type of craziness is that?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just took that show on the road and, you know, pretty much, you know, walked the beat and really went out to do stores that you really try to give them something that I felt like they was missing. Okay. You know, I wanted to do something not just for me, because originally the Lux T was created just for me. You know, me and my guy, we was going to start a whole nother brand, but it was so much, you know, love on the T-shirt. Like, I really came up with something that I felt like this, you know, and I didn't think about it in a sense of I wanted to keep it for myself. I wanted to share it, you know what I'm saying? And part of creating any kind of business is sharing it, you know.
Exactly.
When you look at, say, Apple, they make computers, they make phones, but they giving you the ability, or giving everybody the ability, to create accessories to go with their phones. Exactly. Because without them, they're helping other people become millionaires through this, you know, and this T-shirt helped everybody who used it to make more money. Because what if they hadn't had this shirt? Would they had made the same amount of money? I'm going to go no.
Right.
Because the quality set them apart from everywhere else. You know, I even went down to Sabiato's to try to get them to use the shirt to separate what they were using, which they was using you know, cotton lycra blend, and say, hey, I think for your company, maybe you can offer two levels to sell, because you had a shirt that was $100 and whatever they charge, $120, and you can have a $70 shirt. Yep. Use this shirt as a $70 shirt.
Yeah.
And you know, they're not with us. So they'll take from us, but they ain't with us.
Right. Now talk about how important quality is when it comes to fashion, because especially like now everybody claims to have a fashion brand and they focus on, you know, having a large quantity, but none of their products have quality. So talk about the difference and why it's important to have good quality.
I mean, quality speaks volumes about who you are, what your company represents. Unless you sell into, really, it doesn't matter who you sell to. I mean, you should still want to represent quality, because that's what keep the customer coming back. And Lux T, me coming out with that so many years ago showed that, hey, and it was other companies. I mean, everybody was way bigger than me at the time. I'm walking around, with a box trying to get people to buy into this blank T-shirt, and people were so comfortable buying what they were buying at the lower price, but wasn't thinking about quality. So it's like some people don't care about the quality, or they don't know what is quality from a standpoint. And you talk about the wholesale arena, but personally, I think quality is very important because it speaks volumes of who you are and what you represent.
Okay, I love that, man. Now, at some point, you became a buyer. What exactly is a buyer?
A buyer is a person. So I left Lux T and I got a job offer at DTLR. So I joined DTLR, and at the time they had 24 stores. Now they got 252 stores. But I came in to buy the apparel and accessories. So I had to learn that game, because I didn't have any schooling on that. But I had, street knowledge on what dudes and girls alike I felt like I could offer them something, and I can pick out the right stuff. More importantly, buying is not just about picking out the right items. You got to think for a lot of different people, depending on how many locations you have. In this case, I had to think for different regions, which I didn't know. I had to go out and get this knowledge. But when you buy, you picking out items from the vendors that are already that you already have, because I already came into an existing retail store. And then you have to run a lot of reports to understand it. And then most of the buying, the back half of the business is the most important. It's not the front end. A lot of people get it like, yo, I could buy the best stuff. I could buy the best stuff. But it's not about that. It's about all the other business that's behind it. It's kind of like one person is not doing the whole buying job. One person is picking out the products, but then you have someone entering the orders. You have someone doing the allocations on the order. I can say, hey, I want this product in this store, and this store, and this store. Somebody still has to actually do it.
Right.
Have to make sure that the pricing comes in right, because they might try to upcharge us for something that I already know that we agreed on this price, but you try to be slick and add this price on like a discount, as an example. So it's a lot of moving parts with just buying. It's not like one aspect. And a lot of people would say, hey, I can do this. Why y'all got this whack stuff, or why y'all got this, or why y'all got that? But it's a lot more involved in it than just direct. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you go, whether it's Adidas, whether it's Foot Locker, DTLR, or whoever, you'll see all these Jordans on the wall. We know everybody only want retro Jordans. That's easy. They even know that. But guess what? They're not going to let you just buy retro Jordans. That's
right.
Why they are who they are. You have to support the line. And so a lot of times that happens with some of the other clothing lines. They don't want you to just buy that one or two items. Sometimes they want you to support other products in the line. And so it's a give and take at that point. And then a lot of times if something doesn't sell well, there may be a buyback. And mine is a multifaceted movement of things. It's not just one thing, but the whole goal is to, buy some really good product that the consumer will come and buy. But like I said, it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you don't see to make those things happen. Pricing, invoicing, quality control, because sometimes you get stuff and they're already in packages. By the time it gets to the store, we won't know what's going on unless we contact the store associates. They might say, oh, this product got a hole in it, or has this, or has a big stain on it. These shoes came in smelling like a box of glue. It's so many different things. And as a buyer, you have to be involved in all of those things to understand the whole environment of your job.
Yeah. Now, when I was growing up, like, it's DTLR right now, but when I was growing up, it was Downtown Locker Room. So, yeah. So why did they make that switch?
I think, the short answer is everybody was getting it confused with, they would call it Downtown Foot Locker.
Ah,
Some people was
okay.
like, how do you confuse those two? When they
Yeah.
made a baby, what was going on?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what I
I
feel
ain't
like.
never know that.
Yeah, people used to call it that, and so it got to the point where, as we were getting bigger, like how do we rebrand ourselves? I think some of the best people, and you hear it in the entertainment world, people rebrand themselves.
Yeah.
Diddy being the number one that just done that a million times, and
Exactly.
every time he rebrand himself, it kind of works out for him.
Yeah.
So us rebranding ourselves, making it an acronym was better for the company.
Nice. Talk about how important is the streets when it comes to fashion.
Oh man, the streets control of fashion in every hood in the world, not just here. Every hood in the world. You know, you and I, we can go to London, wherever. We can see something that's not even popping here. We get it, and the way we style it, we might be fresh to the people that look up to us, and people are like, yo, we are get that at, and that's a cycle of the fashion environment. It's always like that. A lot of the draws from the high end runway shows, they're seeing that stuff from somewhere, because ain't nothing 100% new. You getting your ideas from somewhere. You just putting your spin on it.
Yeah.
So I think the hood in every section of the world has their thing. When I started at DTLR at the time, it DC and Baltimore was so different, even though they're so close together. So
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about where we would embrace a gray New Balance super heavy, they would embrace navy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that they wouldn't like the gray, but the navy was a little more popular, or the black, something like that. It's always a small, variance in that.
Now I want to kind of talk about that. Like, whenever I talk to people that's from like out of town, and I try to tell them like Baltimore is not really a part of the DMV, but at the same time it is. Like they kind of got their own culture. It's different. So do you consider like Baltimore a part of the DMV, or what do you consider it?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. It's not part of DMV. That's just like Norfolk. It's not part of
Nah.
DMV either, even though it's
Nah.
Virginia.
Right.
So I think there's a fine line, and it's always like that. You're gonna always have people that's gonna say this, that, and the other. But if you from Baltimore, you're not considering yourself here.
Nah.
Baltimore is their own is their own spot.
Yeah, and it's been like that since forever.
Yeah, it's been like that. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's an argument there. I think
Nah.
they know it and we know it. So
Yeah. Now talk about some of the shoes that you've designed.
okay, well, I did the DMV New Balance shoe. I did the one that you have on, which is the Fast Lane. I've done the Timberland boots with the zipper. I've done Timberland boots I did a construction theme that was called Safety Grade. I worked with Fila and Pepsi. We did a collab. What else? I work with North Face, not just shoes. I've done North Face jackets. I work with so many different, but shoes are the lead because it's the biggest dollar amount. It's the most pairs. Everything is fronted on that end.
Nice. Now, is there a reason why you never, well, at this point, have worked with Nike yet?
Well, Nike's so big that listen, believe me, I want to work with Nike. I want to work with Jordan and all that, but they're at the point now that they're not looking to collaborate outside of people that are superstar influencers. Like you got Travis Scott. Yeah, it's a reason to do Travis Scott.
Yeah, it makes sense.
One of the top 5 hottest rappers in the game, period.
Yeah.
So it's a reason for that, and it's working. And he went to Kanye University.
Yeah.
So anybody go to Kanye University wins.
Yeah, you already see.
Man, you got Virgil, you got Just Don.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Jerry Lorenzo from Fear God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kanye University is real.
Yeah, you already know you're on that Billy right now, Billy status.
Yeah. Love it or hate him, he got to it.
Yeah, he did exactly what he said.
The goal in the future is to try to figure out what's the right entry point to get at Nike.
Yeah.
I entered, my goal was to try to enter the Air Max contest to try to figure out how I can get an Air Max, but those things are so tricky, and it's so many people to go through to figure out how to get to that point.
Yeah.
But it'll happen one day.
Yeah, no, it will. We're gonna put that into existence. It's gonna happen. We're gonna speak it to existence. How did having kids have an impact on you?
It slowed me down. If I had kids, I've been gone. I've been out of here. I might not even live here right now, to be honest. Honestly, I might be. You know what? I almost had a job years ago. I tried to get a job at Ralph Lauren. I had an interview and everything to be a footwear designer. It was between me and this one other guy. And how I got to that interview, I wasn't even looking for a job at Ralph Lauren. DTLR was one of the biggest, we was buying the most polo shoes. It was between us and like Journeys, because they got hundreds of stores at that time. We didn't have hundreds.
Right.
We was buying so many. It got to the point where it was just ridiculous. So I started sketching out my own boots, sketching out, just kind of filling it out. Mm-hmm. And so Polo has the most licenses in the fashion business.
Okay.
I don't know if that's changed over the last couple of years, but back then they did. Like, whether it's kids' clothes, kids' shoes, whether it's paint on your wall, whether it's furniture, sheets, all that, rugs.
All that.
They don't technically make all that stuff. They license their name out and they approve whether that company should make it. Oh, and so we were buying Polo kid shoes from a licensee. It was a company called BBC, not being their Boys Club. It's a company called BBC that does licensed footwear. And they might have like 30 brands, like seriously.
Damn.
30 brand like kid shoes.
Yeah.
And they might be selling the Target to Stride Rights to this, all of the crazy stuff with all the cartoon characters. Every time a movie come out, they get the shoes. They get the license.
Wow.
And so I drew up a Polo kid shoe. Sneaker. So, and when I gave it to the guy who was in charge, he was like, he loved the design, but it was too fast for the Polo customer. He felt like it was too advanced. And it was on a vibe of an Air Max. You know what I'm saying? For Polo, they're more, they make a lot of shoes more generic. They make a lot of more generic things. They just use their horse. Whether they make the shoe all plaid, it could look like a Converse, and they just put a horse on the side and just make it plaid. They don't care about trying to create new, And at the time, I showed the guy. He's like, he liked it, but he couldn't do nothing with it. And I thought because they were licensee that they could, do it that way. So when I showed, and I had a pretty good relationship with the president of Polo Footwear. So he was running Polo Footwear and women's accessories, right? And I showed them, hey, I showed this to Polo kids. They wasn't, into it. Could you, what do you think? I wasn't, forcing them by any means, but I just was just really curious, and I was really into trying to make something happen, right? And he loved the design so much, he offered me a job, which blew me away, because me and my boss was sitting there like, yo, he offered you a job. Like, but he could not hire me. He had to send me to the person. And the guy that I interviewed with was only reported to Ralph Lauren. That's how close I would have been to Ralph.
Man.
And the thing that I learned from that, they gave me like a 2-week task to, before the interview. They wanted me to draw different quadrants, like from driving shoes, dress shoes, sneakers, and boots. So I was kind of there, but my drawing style was so clean that, in the interview, and they wanted to keep my portfolio. They kept my portfolio. And then, after the interview, they FedExed it to me like 2 days later. And they just said they love what I did, but they didn't think that I could keep up with the demand. And the person that they also was looking at already had 10 years experience of designing footwear, which I'm not mad. I at least, went through the process of what it was to be like. And the thing about Ralph Lauren, I'm not sure how many other companies are like this, but they don't want you to do any computer generated anything. Everything you do had to be hand drawn.
Wow.
Like when their designers draw clothes, you're not doing that shit on a computer. It's all hand drawn.
Is it like an advantage or something, or why?
I guess that's the way they do it.
Okay.
at some point, I'm sure that they're doing CAD stuff now, but I think for a lot of stuff that they were doing were hand drawn stuff. At least that's what the guy told me. And I had good recommendations. It's just that, you know, when you're not doing a certain thing full time, you can't be as good in it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, I mean, I wasn't good enough to get it, but they saw that I was good from a creative standpoint, but they were looking at, you know, speed. They wanted you to hurry up and do this and do this. It's like somebody come to you as a producer, like, yo, hurry up, make me a beat in 10 minutes. Make me 20 beats today. Yeah. Like that might not be your thing. You got something that might be their thing. Right. You know, I'm on a quality tip. I ain't giving you 20. I'm not giving you nobody 20 designs or anything in one day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all about the quality over quantity.
Yes, now, sir.
At the time that I met you, you was actually managing a artist. You know what I'm saying? A music artist.
So that's my guy.
Yeah, James Poet. Shout out to James Poet. So yes, what made you get into, you know, artist management?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm always wanting to help people out. And, you know, at the time, you know, when I met James, I actually met James in Vegas, out of all places. You know, my son's mother, he was dating her cousin. So we just, my son mother at the time and see him and, you know, we chopped it up. And it was an old thing. And then we get back to this area and it was a, you know, family cookout and we started rapping. I was like, man, listen, I'm going to try to help you. I know some people. This is really not my business per se, but let me see if I could be that second hand, that second eye. Let me just see what I can do to help you. And, you know, that's what that was about.
Okay. Now, in the future, do you ever see yourself trying to manage again, or is that something you just was like, nah?
No, I mean, managing is I don't want to say it's like a babysitting job, but it's, nobody didn't tell me what was the pros and cons.
Yeah, it's a lot to it.
I really don't. From an artist standpoint, I don't want to manage that.
Yeah.
Now, if we talk about design and I want to meet new designers or anything like that, and they want to join the team, yeah, I will manage them because that's a little bit more easy because we have an actual target. We have things that we need to do. If I have a project and I say, hey, I need you to design this, that's a little bit different than managing a music artist. And music today ain't the same.
Nah, it's not.
It's definitely not the same.
Nah.
And it's 10 times harder to make it in music than it is in fashion, I believe. Because at least fashion, you get it. It's like, do you like this item or not? The people don't tell you if they like it or not. Music, it's like pulling teeth to get them to listen to your music.
Ooh, it's a different.
You can send somebody an email, they might not never open it.
Yeah, that's
it's for free. It don't cost them nothing. People act like it costs money to open an email to listen to it.
Nothing. It costs nothing.
Yeah, that's why I feel like today is, you know, even though we got social media, I feel like it should be easier, but
not necessarily.
It's just a different thing. This is a different thing. I think it's still harder to make it, you know, with money, budget, what's going on radio, it's too many variables.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. Now, at any point in your life, like, did you ever consider being like a stylist? Because I could see that being like something that you could do.
Not really. I mean, I've heard that before, but nah. I don't really want to. I wouldn't want to do that as a career, as a job. But you know, if it was the right thing or artist that, you know, and they wanted to see what I can do, then maybe. But nah, I don't really want to do that per se.
Okay. Now, when you're designing, whether it's like shoes, clothes, whatever, like, how is it exactly? Are you getting paid? Is it through like licensing it to them? Is it a buyout? Like what? How does that work?
Well, because employed by DTLR, you know, I'm on salary, so it doesn't matter if the shoes sold out today, tomorrow, and they keep selling out. I'm on salary. You know what I'm saying? So New Balance is not paying me, although they should.
Yeah.
You know, but that's another thing.
Yeah.
But I'm on salary, just like any other job.
Okay. Now, do you have a favorite piece of like fashion that you design? Or like they all your babies?
But you know what? All my shoes are like my kids.
Yeah.
You know, you got some that's, I would hate to say you have your favorites. I mean, I have a couple shoes that I wear more often than others, but I mean, generally I just like the process when I sit down and I'm curating designs and trying to, get the stories out. Some of them hit the target like they're supposed to. Some kind of missed the target because of, whatever certain, team members involved. I work with a few different people. I mean, I design everything, come up with a story. I sit with different people to try and help me curate the story to write it down politically, you know what I'm saying? So it can flow right. But other than that, I'm just trying to get better at what I do.
Nice. So when you actually designing, like, what's the process? Like, are you thinking about what you were just talking about, like the storyline? Like, what is your process when you're actually designing?
I think the storyline is the most important. It's becoming the only thing that helps sell the shoes. The reason why is because when you go in the store, most time you got 400 or 500 shoes on the wall. What's going to make someone come in and ask for a shoe that they don't know nothing about the story? So having a story helps it, I had a shoe that came out back in April, and it probably didn't hit on a lot of people's radar because it was a small pack, but it was with New Balance. I used the 997 model. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. I used a 997 model.
Yeah,
and it was tagged as the Greek gods. And I used the story of the Greek gods, the story of Medusa and Perseus, and how they relate and how it relates to today's time. And, we had real snakes at the photo shoot and everything.
Oh, that's crazy.
The shoe sold out. No BS. The shoe sold out in 5 seconds.
Damn. That's crazy.
No, literally. I went on the website because I remember COVID was happening, so I was at home. New Balance did not want me to release the shoe because they felt like people didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Because the shoes was $230. It was 2 different shoes.
Okay.
And, the shoes had got postponed. They were supposed to came out in November.
Wow.
Now it's April. They're coming out.
Yeah.
New Balance, you ain't telling me shit about this one. These coming out. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, I already had the shoes. What you going to tell me?
Right.
And it just so happened that was the same week that the first, checks hit for people. And, it was
it just worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out. But the story on that was really good. And I just really want to tell stories because I'm not sure your buying patterns, but I think a lot of people buy based off stories. Right now, Nike and Jordan is really the only ones telling stories. I mean, Adidas, they told a couple stories, but really when Adidas show up, it's like, oh, you got the new Yeezy. You buying into him, or you buying into Pharrell. But what other stories are they really telling? They might have a few, but they might not be on the main radar. And so I think that's the goal. And so I'm looking at my peers, a couple dudes out in Chicago to, Ronnie from Kith. They're all really good at telling compelling stories. So it's like, I'm trying to level up. I want to be at the level. I want you to consider me, and what I do.
Yeah. Now, what comes to mind when you hear the word DMV and fashion in the same sentence?
What comes to mind? I feel like we still had a lot of work to do in one sense. In the other sense, I feel like we're creative to it's just like music in DMV. It's like it's the same. It's the parallel. It's the same parallel. It's like they don't look at us, but we got a lot of dope producers such as yourself, a lot of dope writers, and everything. And I think fashion's the same way. I think it's just going to take a lot longer to get out the mud. And we've had some spots of people really shining, really creating a spark. But how long can you keep that spark?
Right.
I think it's still a little bit ways to go for us to get the respect that we need.
Yeah, and trust me, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of people, they always like to talk about, the glitz, the glamour, and stunting and all that. But I want you to talk about some of your mistakes that you made, like some of the challenges that you had to go through and just overcome.
Well, the first one was when I was at Lux T, because I was so in love with the creating product, I wasn't thinking about the business. And this is, is really important for anyone who's listening. The people who run the business, you will want to learn as much as you can from that. Don't fall in love with the product, because that's where the money is made. The money is made in the business through the product. So I didn't sign any type of deal with them. So when it came time to trademark situations and things like that, they put their name on the trademark. They didn't add me, and I created the product. Came up with the name.
Wow.
Came up with who to sell it to.
Yeah.
I was out there.
Wow.
In fact, all the dudes that made clothes back then, they know me.
Yeah.
I ain't making this up.
Damn.
And you know, so mistake number one: work on your paperwork. You know, work on your trademarks. Make sure you're upfront and clear about all that stuff, and try to get on the same page. Because if not, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot. And I'm sure it's happened in a lot of different types of businesses.
Yes.
You know, so that's number one. And I would say that's the main thing that I probably regret. You know what I'm saying? But it led me to where I am now. So it's like I lost on one thing, but gained, you know, something else, where knowledge and being able to do what I do now. If I had had that thing, I probably wouldn't be here. Who knows where I would have been. So it's like a gift and a curse. But in my mind, I always think about that, because I created something that I felt like had legs to be the next American Apparel, the next Gildan, but from a colors person perspective, because now I'm able to give you what is the evolution of the change in silhouettes. People want them longer, they want them shorter, they want them thinner, they want this, they want that. I felt like I was the guy to spearhead that thing, and I think other people, you know, and today, I mean, it's been so many other t-shirt companies birthed since then that I felt like, oh, this kind of feel like it, but it's not it. This kind of, you know, it's a lot of those things. But, you know, that's the main mistake. It's probably some more with regular life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now let's go into that. Like, if you could go back and talk to your younger self, like, let's just say hypothetically, like 15 years old. Let's say 15, 21, and 25. If you could talk to three of those guys, what piece of advice would you tell them? Or just have a conversation. Like, what would you talk about?
Well, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one, because I'm looking at it from multiple points of view, right?
Yeah.
And so, depending on where each one of them are at, you know, I got to put myself on the outside looking in. You know, 15-year-old self. Don't know what the hell I'm doing anyway. I'm young. I'm chasing all these hood booger rats, girls and stuff like that. You know, I wasn't thinking about college per se. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking about all that. 21, I was trying to stay out of trouble. You know, I was running with some of the wrong people. You know, I had a couple close clips. So that's the person I would zone in on, and I would say, hey, what is that you know really passionate about? I would really, you know, have a big brother, little brother, you know, let me grab them. Let's figure out how to get you to your next step. And I think it's a lot of kids out here who don't have nobody to do that. They have their peers, but their peers are going to do whatever they do.
Yeah.
They're going to do whatever they do. So it's not really a big brother situation. And looked at it like, what can I see in this kid to help him define who he is? You know what I'm saying? And I would have tried to figure out how to define myself. It took me years to get to the point where, you know, I wanted to leave the foolishness alone, the street stuff alone that I was involved in, and say, hey, let me go and get a retail job. And, you know, I think I was around 22, 23, I got a job at Up Against the Wall. And you know, my man Eric hired me, and he became that for me at that time. You know what I'm saying? And I wish I had that earlier. Maybe the 15 to 21 would have been better than later, but it happened the way it's supposed to happen. And just really you know, you can't be a fast moving train without no guardrails. You need somebody to help guard you and help, you know, help you stay on track.
I like
that.
And
I think that's the hardest part, and don't always listen to the negative, or, you know, a lot of us try to get fast money. It don't always work, and hanging out with the wrong people don't always work. And it's just trying to figure out who to say no to. It's better to say no than yes all the time. You
Yeah.
know,
Facts. Facts.
so I would have tried that, and obviously some other things in between that, you know. And I had my oldest son when I was 26. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's a lot of things about being mature as a man, and trying to what's the right things to do as a man. Because even though I had my father in my life and I looked at him on one aspect, it was like as a young kid, you still want to be able to feel like you the man. You want to do your own thing and you know what's right. That ain't the right thing. It's a lot of kids walk around with the attitude like they know what to do all the time, and they don't want to take advice from their parents. They'll take it from a bigger brother. Well, I'm the oldest. I ain't got no bigger brother. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's something that really I would really want it back then, and I would do it to my kids to this day. Like, hey, let's figure out how to expand on your talents. Let me help push you. Let me help. Let me help try to put you in the right position.
Now, what advice would you give to someone that aspires to be just like you, whether that's, designing shoes, just in fashion in general, being a buyer? What advice would you give them?
I try to figure out what are they currently doing, and try to figure out what do they really want to do. Do they want to just have their own brand? Are they trying to do a pitch back to the company, or are they trying to? I mean, most of the time they just want to work with me, but it's not. I haven't been looking for anyone at the time, and I will in the future as the business blossoms and gets better. Then at some point it's going to be room. I'm trying to make room in that position so I can bring people on, but it's going to take a little bit of time. But I will really try to figure out where their skill set is at and try to guide them based on this, because everybody has a different skill set. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's kind of like somebody doing music. Everybody might not be able to play the piano, the keys, or the guitar, but they could probably play the drums.
Yep.
And they could probably hum a tune, but they can't actually play it. So it's just trying to figure that out and try to figure out how you can guide them, or if it's even worth them working with you. You know what I'm saying? I think collaboration is kind of important, to for them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just it's a fragmented answer, but the whole goal is to try to put them on the right track.
Okay. Now, if they did a movie on your life, your whole life, who would you want to play you and why?
Who? Michael B. Jordan.
Somebody else said that. Now, why would you pick him?
I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
I think that I could, if I was in shape, I'd probably be his size.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think he overall can get into seeing his past movies.
Yeah.
I could see that he could probably imitate me if he had enough storylines and stories about me. I think he could fit that model.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anyone else who would be able to be able to do it.
And I'm not mad at that. What is your biggest fear?
I ain't ready to die. I want to live like I was in the times of the Bible. I want to live to 200-300 years old. And back then, people really lived that long. I'm like, man, what the hell happened between, the flood and all that to now? Like, people are dying like flies now. I want to see my kids get old and have kids. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. I don't want to leave. I know I'm secure with my faith with God, but I want to see my kids do better than me. I want to see them blossom and create their own families. I want to live to see that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that age is.
Definitely, man. And I know this year we lost a good brother, Tony Rez, man.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, man. Still dealing with that. Think about him every day, man.
Like about that.
Yeah, man. Like it don't really feel real. Like I don't know, man. It's hard to describe, but if you can just talk about how you met him and just, you know, the memories and just everything, if you can, real quick.
So I met Tony through Rasan.
Yeah.
You know Rasan. So
Yeah.
you know, he brought him up to the office. I had seen Tony Reds for years, you know, being at all of the different radio events over the years. And, you know, we knew mutual people. So it was just like, and then when we sat down and talked, this was, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And we just became cool, and it just never stopped, you know what I'm saying? And we, you know, he was doing his radio thing, doing all the artistry. And I was like, man, this dude is really trying to put on for the city for real. And I said, no other station here is doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, why is the hate? You know, and I can't physically see it, but I hear it from him. Like, yo, he has all these great ideas that he really wants to do that they're not letting it through, whether it's financially, whether it's like they don't have enough people, whether the radio station's not fit, whatever it is. It was just, to me, it was an excuse. And, you know, it's a lot of politics in radio.
Yeah.
There's politics at every job. So
that's fact.
When I met him, man, that was like my guy, man. And, you know, I just felt really bad that he really didn't get to live his life like he wanted to. And I'm not even talking about being rich or anything. I'm talking about the dude is still in his 40s.
Yeah.
Man, we couldn't even get to 60 years old to, you know, my man didn't smoke, he ain't drink.
None of that, man.
You know, it's like, man, my man died from a heart attack driving.
Right, exactly. Like, a genuinely good dude, like wanted to see everybody win. You know what I'm saying?
And that dude, for real, out of anybody I know, he came up with the best ideas for events. And I haven't met nobody come up with better ideas than him. Yeah, I was like, man, that's amazing. He has so many dope ideas. And I mean, you know, you work with him a lot more than me. That was just my man. You know what I'm saying? That was. I mean, how many songs did y'all make together?
Man,
at least 100.
Over 100.
That's my point. Yeah, that's my point. And you know, I love this energy. I love this spirit. And it ain't gonna be nobody like him.
Nah, that's
ain't gonna be nobody like him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I just hated the way, you know, that the call it the downfall. You know, people turned their back on them and all that. It's just bad. It's like when you up, people love you. When you're going down, people kick you.
Exactly.
And that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah, they gotta work.
I don't know if that's just a black thing or not. I don't know if that goes in the white community or not. I don't know.
I don't know, but I know for a fact it goes on more in the black community.
All day. It's like, we our own crabs in the barrel for no damn reason. It's like,
especially in the DMV area, that's like, it's multiplied times like 100, man. Like,
and then, you know, the hardest thing is trying to build a team. I'm not sure if you have this issue, but trying to build a team is like this. Let me explain it this way. For what I do, you know, I'm like an introvert extrovert. I'm an introvert at some point because I like to keep to myself a lot.
Yeah.
I like to listen more than talk. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't like to talk. I got a couple people I talk to, but that's because we're real close friends and stuff like that. But, you know, and we always talk about, you know, everybody can't be an artist on the stage.
Right.
Somebody need to be the manager. You need backup. Everybody can't be goddamn Chris Brown or fucking whoever.
Nah.
Everybody can't be a star.
Gotta know your role.
Let the star on stage support the star.
Mm-hmm.
And stop hating. Support anybody who's doing something that you feel like they can do something.
Yeah.
You know, be on the team. If you wanna jump in, you got good ideas, be supportive.
Yes.
Present those ideas and maybe you can be on the team. Yeah. Try to support this person because when it's your time to shine, they're gonna remember what you've done for them.
Exactly.
And a lot of times I'm in a circle of, I've heard people say they don't fuck with me because whatever. I can't be concerned with why people don't like me. I'm not going to waste my energy on why people don't like me. All I could do is continue to do positive things and be as creative as I can. My goal is to create product, collaborate with people to make dope product and put the product out. Whatever you do after that, that's on you. I'm not out here creating no riffs. I'm not, you know, I'm not doing any of that, but I think people everybody wants to be a star. Everybody can't be a star in a crew, you know, and that's what happens a lot of time.
Yeah, man. It's enough room for everybody to eat. You know what I'm saying? You don't
Yeah, but
always got to be.
everybody's hungry right now.
Yeah, like nah,
They see a chicken wing in your hand, they want to bite.
man. Talk about it, man.
Nah, that's real. That's real.
Yeah,
And it's like the only way we're gonna get somewhere is, we need people to that's not really trying to do the same thing we do. If you got someone else that's trying to be a producer and you're a producer and they can sing and you can sing, it's going to be some envy in there somewhere. Not
of
from
course.
you, but because you're already in position. You've
Yeah,
already created thousands of songs. So they looking at you
yeah.
like, oh yeah, let me get in pocket with him so I can do this instead of saying, hey, bro, how can I help you? How can I help you get to your next destination?
Right.
And nobody's doing that. Nobody's saying that. Everybody want to take what you have or just talk bad about you, not to your face,
Of
behind you.
course. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, man. If you could pick 3 people, dead or alive, to have dinner with, just to pick their brain, who would you pick, and why would you pick them?
dead or alive. Mm, mm, mm. I think I will pick Drake.
Mm.
I would pick Tupac.
Okay.
Mm.
They don't got to be famous.
Well, I mean, it makes. I mean, they're gonna be all famous.
Okay.
Um, dead or alive. Hmm. And I would say Tony Robbins.
Mm. All right. Not mad at that list. Now, why those 3?
Tupac. We know Tupac. He was
Yeah.
speaking the real shit back then, but everybody
Yeah.
didn't pick it up.
Right. Still relevant now. Super relevant
Relevant to
now,
this day.
which is crazy.
To this day.
Yeah, like literally, like everything that he was saying is literally still going on.
Yeah, and I would definitely want to know more of what, outside of the music. I want to talk to the man himself. And I think moving on over to Drake, I think Drake is a very elusive individual where I think he's kind of protected. He's very smart. He makes good
Calculated.
music, but it's something about him that I feel like he could enlighten you on.
Yeah.
I think it's something about him. He has an enlightened type of persona.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he's really good at calculating. I
Yeah.
think he's a very calculated individual. And I just, because you got the Tupac, the revolutionary individual, and you got today's, quote unquote, the best rapper of today, even though Jay-Z is my favorite rapper.
Yeah.
Then I will pick Tony Robbins because I need to have a different look on life from a person who's out here made to help people to get better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And tell you how to look at things in a real straight up, no chaser type of way. And I think those 3, I think I would be a different individual in a better way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What about yourself? Who would you pick?
Ooh.
Come on, JS. Yeah, JS is on the phone.
Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. I would definitely. Pac is always on my list. Damn. All right. Hold up. Pac. Actually, I was having this conversation with somebody last night, so I'll just pick those 3. It was Pac, Gary V.
Yes.
And I would say my grandmother.
See, I was gonna say my grandmother. It's just, it was only 3, right?
Yeah.
And it's trying to figure out what's gonna be, because my grandmother, she had Parkinson's, and her memory was bad. So it's kind of like, maybe if she was in her 50s or something, but
Yeah. So what is the impact that you want to have on the world?
That's a good one. I mean, for what I do, I want to definitely help as many people as I can at the same time build. You know, I just want to let people know that I've been here. This guy really tried. He really curated a bunch of stuff, and he knocked down some doors, because I think for what I do is nobody here doing what I'm doing, right? And so there, at some point when it's my time to go, whether I'm leaving the company or I leave this earth, there will be that position open for somebody.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think other companies need to be open up to Black people, to let them be as creative as they can, because it ultimately helps their company, because we don't own these companies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if you know this, but you know, I was gracious enough to have a mural on the side of DTLR, 9th and 8th Street.
Okay.
So I have a mural on the side of the store, and it has about 5 of the New Balance shoes that I designed. So we
that's lit.
hired a muralist. His name is Monolith DC. He created a dope mural on the side of the store. So we put it up during 8th Street Festival last year.
Nice.
So got to check it out.
Yeah, I gotta check that out, man. Yeah, I need to see that. Yeah, I need to see that, man. That's lit, man.
And haven't got a chance to really do any celebrations or anything with that, because I still feel like I got more work to do.
Yeah. You just getting started. Nah, yeah. This ain't the victory lap. You're just getting started.
All day.
So what's next for you? Like, what is the future hold for June Sanders? Like, what's going on?
I got a shoe that's dropping on Friday, so that's an American Muscle New Balance. That's gonna be good. I posted that on the gram. I got an Adidas project coming out in the spring. I got a Reebok shoe dropping. This is my first time working with either one of them brands, so I think they both exciting. I need to say that. I got a DC New Balance because New Balance turned me down. When I did the DMV shoe, the following year I tried to do the DC version, and they told me no, because they didn't feel like we had enough stores here.
What?
And that really did something to my spirit. I had to fight for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To the point it was like, yo, just because you're looking at a store address, that don't mean you think people that live in New York only shop. You think it ain't nobody outside of New York that go to New York to shop? That don't make sense.
Right.
So me coming up with every analogy possible wasn't sinking in their heads, but eventually they got it. And so that shoe will arrive in probably March. So I'm excited about that.
Nice. I got to look out for that.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to work on a couple other things. Got a couple clients I do some design work for. So.
All right. Now, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Man, my man, that's a tough one. It's kind of like I just want to be that guy that got along with most people that created some dope stuff.
Yeah, man, I love that, man.
I mean, you know, it's one of the type of things you don't think about when you're gone, but you know, if you're in the history business, I guess that's what it is. At some point, I'll do so many designs that I'll think about what I want to do in history. Yeah. Right now, I'm still on the design, on the creating tip, you know. Yeah. I heard Puffy say that. I'm not in the music business. I'm in the history business.
Yeah, like, wow. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That was epic.
Yeah. Epic dropping them jewels. Yeah.
That's epic. And he ain't never lied. He's definitely going to be in the history business.
Of course. Still making history.
Yeah. So that's the goal, to keep creating until I get to the history business portion.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah, for both of us.
Yeah. So that was it, man. This is a wrap, man. You have any last words?
Oh man, and no, I want COVID to be over.
Yeah,
I need this shit to be gone.
Yeah, sooner than later, like ASAP.
I need this COVID to be over. So, other than that, man, I'm blessed. Trying to take care of my kids and my family. You know what I'm saying? I wish the best for everybody that's out there.
Once again, thank you for tuning in. This is Jerome Smith, also known as JS, aka the best. It's a 24/7 lifestyle. Until next time. We don't make moves, we make movements.